Kat froze in the doorway of her bedroom, eyes locked on the horror unfolding before her. There sat her little brother Vegas, comfortably sitting at her desk and flipping through her diary like it was the latest bestseller. "Oh no, no!" Vegas looked up with the excitement of someone who had just struck gold. "Whoa," he laughed. "I never knew you had a crush on JT." Kat's brain short-circuited. "Give me that! Now!" Vegas jumped up and bolted for the door, cackling like an evil mastermind and quickly singing, "Kat and JT sittin' in a tree." Kat launched a pillow at his head. He ducked and disappeared down the hall, still laughing. Kat slammed her door shut, fuming. Oh, he was so done. She grabbed her notebook and flipped to a fresh page. She had to come up with a plan for revenge. She excitedly began to write down different ideas. This meant war, and she was gonna win. Her target? Paw Paw, Vegas's beloved stuffed teddy bear. His most prized possession. His weakness. He had treasured it since birth. That night, as Vegas climbed into bed, he reached for Paw Paw. But instead of a soft, familiar fluff, his fingers grasped a folded piece of paper. Frowning, he opened it. It was a ransom note, written in Kat's unmistakable, slightly aggressive handwriting. "If you ever want to see Paw Paw again, confess your crime to Mom and Dad." Vegas blinked. "What?" Then something slid out from behind the note. A photo. A photo of Paw Paw. There he was, tied to a tiny chair with a gag over his mouth. Vegas gasped so hard he nearly swallowed air. "No, not Paw Paw!" Vegas shouted out so loudly that Kat heard him all the way in her bedroom. She held her hand over her mouth to keep from laughing. Revenge was sweet. But little did she know, Vegas was already planning his counterattack. At school the next morning, Kat walked down the hallway and noticed something strange. A small crowd had formed near her locker. People were giggling, whispering, and pointing. As she got closer, she saw it. Her stomach flipped. A giant, multicolored sign taped to her locker that read, "I heart JT." Kat's soul left her body. Vegas popped up behind her, eyes wide with adrenaline. "Boom!" he shouted and took off laughing. Kat knew that it was time to end this war once and for all. But she also knew if she wanted to make Vegas surrender, she would have to call for backup. And when it came to advanced professional-level pranking, she knew exactly who she had to call. Max, the class clown, the prank legend, the guy who once convinced their math teacher he was allergic to fractions. Kat found Max in the cafeteria, surrounded by a crowd like usual, and eating his lunch like a king. Kat sat down beside him. "Max, I need you," she said. "Well, duh! Everyone needs me," Max grinned. "Yeah, but I need you for a prank war." Max raised an eyebrow. "Now you're talking." After school, Kat met up with Max in his basement, notepad in hand. Max paced in front of Kat, arms behind his back, his expression deadly serious. "All right, soldier, listen up. We are about to embark on a highly classified, top-tier operation. This isn't some petty food fight or a weak whoopee cushion in the teacher's chair mission. This is war." He dramatically unrolled a hand-drawn battle map, which was actually just a napkin with doodles. "Now, our enemy, codename Tiny Tot, is unpredictable. Slippery, a known flight risk, but we will strike with precision." Max spun around, eyes intense. "I've gathered intel on our enemy, Tiny Tot. His strengths? Overrated. His weaknesses? Exploitable. His morale? 100% shatterable." He jabbed a finger at Kat. "And your job, soldier, is to remain calm, focused, merciless. No laughing, no hesitation. One misstep, and we lose everything we've built." He took a deep breath, placed a hand on Kat's shoulder, and narrowed his eyes. "When this is over, people will tell stories about what we did here today." Then he grinned. "Now, let's put the fun back in dysfunctional family." Kat stood at attention. "Sir, yes, sir," she shouted. For the next 48 hours, Max prepped Kat for battle. He set practice traps, he gave drills, he recruited a team of fourth graders willing to work for candy. Then the plan was in motion. The next day at school, Vegas was in gym class, enjoying a game of soccer. After the game, he reached in his gym bag and grabbed what he thought was his Gatorade. He took a big swallow and quickly realized it wasn't Gatorade, it was pickle juice. Vegas gagged and spit it out instantly, gasping for air in the process. But his problems were only just beginning. Next, he went back in the locker room to change his shoes, only to realize his sneakers were glued to the floor. Finally, at the end of the day, he opened his school locker and boom! A bowl filled with baby powder overturned and spilled all over him. Vegas stood there, covered head to toe in white dust, looking like a ghost who regretted all his life choices. Kat and Max shook hands. Victory! But Kat still wasn't done. She had one last move, the grand finale. At school the next day, Vegas walked into the cafeteria, and the moment he stepped in, the entire room burst into laughter. Confused, he glanced up. That's when he saw it. A giant projection screen playing an embarrassing video of him in bed, asleep and snuggling with his beloved stuffed bear, Paw Paw. Vegas's jaw dropped. How? Kat, watching from across the room, smirked. She had won. But then, she saw Vegas's face. It was beet red, the embarrassment, the way his shoulders slumped just a little. Kat's stomach twisted. She had humiliated him, her little brother, and suddenly winning didn't feel so great. Later that night, she found Vegas in his room, completely silent. No smug comebacks, no plotting, just him, staring at his stuffed bear, Paw Paw. Kat spoke quietly. "Hey, I'm sorry. I've been going over what happened today, and I took it too far." Vegas blinked. "You think?" Kat sat down beside him. "You got me good with that locker thing, and I got you back. But maybe war wasn't the answer." Vegas looked at her. "You're saying we should have peace?" Kat nodded. Vegas smiled. "Okay, truce." He extended his hand. Kat shook it. She exhaled with relief, knowing that the war was finally over. But then, Vegas's smile turned into a sneaky smirk. "By the way, I told JT you like him." Kat shrieked in horror. She couldn't believe what she had just heard. She was frozen in shock. But before she could even respond, Vegas was already running out of the room with his trademark cackle. Kat watched him run off, and even though he had humiliated her once again, she couldn't help but smile. Kat learned a very valuable lesson that day. War might be fun at first, but in the end, damage causes pain on both sides, and nobody really wins. And as she got into bed that night, she realized the best way to win wasn't through pranks, but through peace.